Hello, my name is Julia Kraus. It is April 19th, 2023. I am here with the Samuel Proctor Oral History Program. This interview is part of the Tidewater Main Street Project. Who do I have the pleasure of speaking to today?
My name is Carolyn Marie Wake Chamberlain.
And when and where were you born?
I was born here in Middlesex County, September 16, 1947.
And what were your parents' names and occupations?
My mother's name was Anna Lee Wake Wilson, Anna Lee Wilson Wake. My father was Herman Hillier Wake.
And where were they from here?
My father was from Middlesex County. My mother was from Philadelphia/Gloucester County, Virginia.
How'd she get down here?
She has family here, the Wilson family that stays in Gloucester, and she moved back home.
And where did your well, I guess we've already answered where your family lived, but when did you attend St. Clair Walker High School?
That's what I don't remember. I graduated in 1967, so I say 1962 to 67. Is that 4 years? 62, 63, I say 1963 then.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so that was, what grades was that for?
I think I started in the 8th grade at St. Clair Walker High. 8th, 9th, 10th, that's 4 years, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And did you attend school, like grade school in the area too?
I attended Antioch Elementary School, which is in Saluda, Virginia. Then I transferred to Syringa Elementary School in the 5th grade. And from the 5th grade, I went to a building adjoining St. Clair Walker High School. We used to call it the Coop, which was really the middle school. And then from there, from the 8th grade, went to St. Clair Walker High.
Why did you call it the Coop?
Because it has tin, made out of the tin building. So that's why we call it the Coop.
Did any other family members of yours attend St. Clair Walker High School?
My sister and 2 brothers.
And what were their names?
Marion Wake Corbin, Herman Wake, and George Wake.
And do you know when they went to?
No, I have no idea.
Okay.
My sister might have graduated in 66. As far as my brothers, I don't know.
Are you the oldest?
No, I'm the middle. I'm the 3rd child.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
And what are your earliest memories of St. Clair Walker High School?
I was very shy. I had very few friends. I really don't have too much memory of St. Clair Walker. I was on the leader. I was a cheerleader. I did basketball and choir, band. And I remember some of the teachers.
Do you remember any of their names and like what made them like stand out to you?
I remember Ms. Esther Holmes, who taught history, I think. Ms. Cameron, I don't know her first name. Mr. Lomax, Mr. Peterson, Ms. Jones. Those are the names I can recall at the moment. And I knew that Mr. Charlie I. Thurston, I guess Charles I. Thurston was the principal.
This is Adolfo speaking for the record. So when you were attending the high school, was it mainly primarily black faculty instructors, or was it white instructors, or a mix of both?
Black instructors.
Black
I was going.
And were there any white students?
No, sir.
Not at all.
We were segregated.
After segregation, do you know if did it became it was white and black afterwards? Do you know if it happened right away or it took a couple years?
I think it took, I graduated in 67, I think 1969.
1969.
And I wasn't around during that time. I moved out of the county and went to college.
Okay.
And after that, from college, I went to Maryland and came back in '88, and completely different. It was a terrible, to me, atmosphere by being integrated. So I don't know if you want me staying back and wait for some other questions, but I remember that, and it's sort of like, it really bothered, it really hurt to see how things had changed from when I was growing up and then came back. Culture shock.
Okay, let's build on that. I think then this is the perfect time for that. So let's go into during segregation time. How was the experience like? What was the culture like? And yes, let's begin there.
To me, it was beautiful. We were connected. We were family. All of us were family. We showed love. There were really a closeness there. Even the neighbors, although they weren't blood, but we felt like they were, because we depended, if we needed, back to during that time, if you were short of something, you could go and ask, do you mind letting me have, we just sucked, we were close-knitted. And I thought about this long time ago. It was like a wall between the blacks and the whites. I really never spoke to a white person that I remember. Although my father and mother were entrepreneurs, but I didn't have no connection, no relationship. It was just like a wall there. And I thought about that. And when I came back, although when I was in Maryland, it was different atmosphere, but I loved it there more so than when I came back home, I didn't like it. And that sort of bothered me. It's sort of like a mindset that really affected me until I got used to the county again.
Okay, growing up, can you tell me some of those experiences you mentioned? Like, were you, as kids, go to each other's neighbors' homes? Would the parents know you? Did you have a spot where you all kids that, at your age would hang out together? Or, well, how was that like growing up in this region?
We did a lot of socializing. Like I said, all of us felt like family. We visit. We went on a lot of trips. My father was the type that always took us on trips, and I would always invite my friends. I would invite them to our home, and we would play croquet, softball. It was just a connection that made me so happy. And I had loving parents. We never wanted for nothing. And they always taught us, don't think that you are better than others because you are blessed. And they just gave us values to carry on, which we have now. We're the same now as we were when we were growing up. Caring for people, the close connection with the ones that we did, connect with. And so, yes, we really did a lot of socializing, visiting, and we were just happy families.
You mentioned like the values that your family instilled in you, and I was wondering what were the conversations about school like at home?
Well, I was very studious. I had a desk in my room, and most of the time that's where I was. I was more of an extrovert than an introvert. And is it intro or extro? More in.
Introvert.
Introvert. Yeah, I was more introvert. I kept to myself, very quiet. Mm-hmm. And I did a lot of reading, studying, and I'm still like that. The same, I am like that today at 75. So, and I always went to school doing something. I'm always anxious to learn. And so I'm still like that, an introvert, and to a certain extent. but I can be an extra too.
How did you get to school?
Bus, school bus, and sometimes I'm in walking distance from here. Sometimes we walked as a group, and like the community people got together and we walked to church in Saluda, Antioch, to Sunday school, vacation Bible school. So most of the time, the bus.
How was walking in a group like that?
Fun. Act crazy. We act like kids. Yeah.
When you were on the bus, was that segregated?
All blacks.
And then which teachers impacted your experience most at St. Clair Walker High School?
Really?
And like, what years were you in their classes?
I don't remember that. You know, I think all of them impacted my life. They set a foundation for me to go further in life, like home economics. You know, that really helped me to be able to be independent. You know, how to clean up, how to cook, and but business education. I was more into business. And I loved doing shorthand and typing, and although we had different kind of typewriters back to during that time, and we had to learn by our keys covered up during that time. No computers during my time. Yeah.
What sort of role models or mentors? I know you mentioned that your teachers were a big source of mentorship for you, but what sort of role models or mentors did you have in school?
I can't recall.
Okay. Do you have any like memories from class, like lessons, celebrations, exams that stick with you?
Well, I hate taking tests. It used to make me nervous, make my hands sweat. And I guess that made me brought my grade down a little bit. What was the other question? You said mentors?
Yeah, there were mentors, or like, were there any like celebrations at school that you remembered, or?
No, not that I remember. I know we used to go on class trips, you know, and I used to go to a lot of basketball games. I don't know if that's related to what you're asking me, but being on the cheering squad, I used to like that, and going to games. We only had like softball and basketball.
I have a question just going a little bit back to family with descendants. Your family, how back do you know your lineage? And does it come from, did all your great-grandparents came from this region, Virginia area, or from where?
Yes, Gloucester County and Middlesex County.
Okay. Do you know what they did, your great-grandparents, or?
My grandmother, I don't remember but my grandmother, it's a thrift store up the street to the left as you go to Urbana. My grandmother used to own that old building, which was her home and business. She was an entrepreneur. So my father's side of the family were entrepreneurs. My mother's side of the family were like farmers, but my mother went to a chain estate when she was in Philly.
Wow.
But that's all that I remember.
Okay.
As far as that is concerned.
This is Rachel Khoury. Did anyone in your family work on the water
No.
in any capacity?
No.
No? Okay. What do you remember about lunchtime, the food, cafeteria employees? Anything there?
Delicious food back there during that time. I was glad to go to lunch, to eat those rolls and chicken and mashed potatoes and the vegetables. So they had a very healthy food, not no lot of junk food which they don't serve now. They serve healthy food. I remember when it was lunchtime, we used to run to the cafeteria. Old building right there across from the school board. Old building, that old agricultural building. Cafeteria used to be in that building. And that's where I remember going when I was going to school.
Describe your experiences with May Day and special events.
Oh, I loved that. That was like playing softball, doing the wrapping the pole and dancing around the pole, the hokey pokey or whatever the dances were. I remember all of that and I used to love it. Yeah.
Do you have any assemblies or extracurricular activities? You mentioned cheer. Anything else that you can recall that stood out to you growing up here?
I really didn't participate in too many assemblies because I was like shy, very shy. So.
Mm-hmm. What were some of your biggest accomplishments in and out of school?
In and out of school? You're talking about the high school, right?
Yeah, you can start there, and if you want to add on something else.
I was very studious, and I availed a lot in whatever that was taught to me. I can say I was like a B student, B average. And after there, I went to Smith Madden Business College in Richmond, which was a 2-year business college. From there, I went to Norfolk State College. And then I got married and moved to Maryland, and different universities there I went to, mostly majoring in business and accounting. Nice. And when I was there, I was in the accounting field. And when I moved home, I started working at the hospital, Eastern State Hospital. I stayed there 27 years, working in business, the business department, and medical secretary to doctors. Then I retired 6 years ago. And now, you want to know what I'm doing now?
Yes.
Now I'm working in helping the homeless ministry, volunteering. I'm a treasurer of the ministry. I do a lot of, I joined the Y, and I'm a person that loves to exercise, to stay in shape, and my health, keep my levels down. Nice. I love my grandchildren. I have grandchildren and great, it's 7 of them in all. 3 great, the rest grand. And I'm just a very active person in the community. I'm a member of the NAACP. Through my church, I go to Cornerstone Fellowship Church, and I work in that ministry, had Bible study in my home. Nice. And so.
What regional or national news do you remember hearing about while you were school-aged? For instance, like the transition from segregation to integration. Any recollection of like big national news that affected your life or that you remember?
The only thing I know that affected my life was when I moved back here, and the culture shock. But as far as the news, it still sort of bothered me to see the hatred that's going on, all because of your race. It doesn't make sense. God don't like it, and God will take care of it. So many hateful people instead of the love that it should be. Mm-hmm. That's what bothers me. That's embedded in me.
When did you move back?
In 88.
In 88.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And did you move back for work or for family? What was it?
I relocated because it was time for me to leave.
Okay. What do you remember about hearing news about integration nationally and in the state? What was your own experience with integration locally?
Really, there's nothing wrong with being the integration, coming together. There's nothing wrong with it, but the idea of the hatred because you are dark, because you're a different race, you're not white. That's what bothers me, because God made all of us. We are one blood. But people had that thing about they think they're better because because of materialistic stuff. But it's not about materialistic stuff. It's about spiritual. So,
are there any experiences that you would be comfortable sharing with us that of how the culture had changed here when you came back?
I'm fine. I fear for my grandchildren, my children. I fear for them, especially the black guys, because they now is living in fear if they're stopped by a police officer. It doesn't make no damn sense, excuse my expression, that you are tormented because you have a nice vehicle, because you're dressed nice, because you're educated. You are tormented. And it's a shame. And I fear for them. But I know the power of prayer will break it. Will break every chain. I know it started way, way back there when we were snatched from Africa. But we are still human. We have our culture, everybody have their culture. We should come together and unite and get along. And I don't see that now. It's getting worse and worse and worse. If I'm showing any kind of hostility, it's not hostility, it's just pain.
No.
The pain that I have within, which I'm trying to deal with.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I am fearful for my grandbabies, mostly. I really fear for them.
Do you believe that this generation, this is Adolfo, the next generation is prepared to keep this battle going? Because it seems like things have, since the civil rights movement, people were prepared, they were advocating, they were, moving, they were activists. But do you feel like it's at that level, or what needs to happen in this county, in this region, to mobilize the black community, the young generation to move forward?
We need to get educated, come together and discuss whatever needs to be discussed to ease, so they can know about us and we know about, others. Because I think communication is the key at the moment. And equal rights, not favoritism. You get a house, your house rate is higher than the other person's house rates, interest rates. You go to the bank for even educational wise, equal education in the school system. Learn about black history of the kids. I mean, don't put for an example, now in the school system, they don't really go deep into black history to have the children really know our history. They tell lies. It's lies in the school system about really the black history, what we are all about. That we learn their history. Why is it that they can't learn black history? That critical race theory shouldn't even be hitting the school systems. I don't know if it is or not, but that critical race theory is trying to stop it, I think. Am I right? We're
having a lot of issues, especially in Florida right now, with even teaching CRT, critical race theory. You can't talk about it. We had a lot of professors also that are getting fired or reprimanded because of teaching that. So it is an issue that if we're blocking this education system, what's the future of that? What's the future of our next generation? How can you mobilize somebody when they're not educated about the issues properly?
Right, I agree.
You mentioned that you were with, I'm not sure if you're still active with the NAACP.
Yes, I am.
Can you tell me a little bit about some of those, some challenges or some issues that you have worked with them or throughout the years? What are some victories that you've had?
We're dealing with some issues now in the school system. The school system, they allow teachers to call the black kids niggers, whatever racial names they call our black children, demoralizing our black children. And the teachers get away with it. We are dealing with that. So much is going on now where, how is it that teachers are allowed to call kids names like that, demoralizing them? And then they allow the students to be doing the same thing. And they are not showing favor. I mean, they're not really, the school system is what we are dealing with at the moment because they're not fair. And I don't care if they are listening or listen to it on YouTube or whatever, but they are demoralizing our black children. They are allowing these children, these white kids, if there's a fight going on, and can be implemented by a white person, or it can be implemented by a white child, black child. But the white child will get more slack, but the black child will be punished and be suspended from school. They're not showing, they're not fair. They're not fair when it comes around to discipline the kids. And like I said, I see it more so now. It's just terrible in the school system for administrative to allow the prejudiceness that's going on in the county. And we as NAACP are trying to fight it. So as far as good in the county when it pertains to NAACP, what are we doing? We're trying to do what we can to make peace and to show equality. But the thing about it is we are fighting a battle that it's going to get worse. If the school system don't come together and do what they should do, when my kids were growing up, when I, in a sense, was growing up, I didn't have it because I was, we were separated. But from my children on up to now, it's just a lot of issues going on, especially now, because the name calling, the fairness that they show towards us, towards the white, and hard on our black children, and the teachers. It's just not right in what's happening in this county pertaining to education.
When you talk about the NAACP, how long have you been working with them, and do you recall any organizing about voting rights?
We work hard on voting rights. We go out in canvas, and we are getting ready to have the candidates to come and talk what they stand for. And so we are strong in voting rights, getting people to get out and vote. And we're trying to get into the jail system, which is hard to do because there are some that can vote. So that's what we are working on now. And I've been a member of the NAACP since I've been here, since '88, nice. On up to now.
Do you recall much of the civil rights movement here in the county? Any movement about that?
No.
No. No problem. To kind of shift the conversation, do you have anything else you want to talk about when it comes to the high school that you can recall?
Well, I love going to St. Clair Walker.
Yeah.
It was awesome. I don't have nothing negative to say about it because I remember as my childhood years, if I could go back, I would go back to go, to St. Clair Walker. I enjoyed it.
What was your occupation after you finished school?
That was when I went to college.
Went to college.
And I was in business, administration, accounting, in that field.
What were your earliest memories? Do you have memories of Cook's Corner?
Yeah, I remember the black businesses, some of them. Glenn Davis, the service station, then another business across from that location. It was all black in that area. Black.
I'm sorry. What was the service station? What exactly was that?
They sold service usually mean who owned it or
No, what did they do?
they sold gas and had little snacks. You could go in
store.
and buy.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
And I stayed on Banner Road, which was a lot of businesses on that road.
What kind of businesses do you remember?
My grandmother store, she's had like a restaurant. She sold ABC. My father's store, that service station, and the dance hall and restaurant. Then Mike LaVar had a garage there. Then we had a Dr. Tony, in that area. It was very prosperous during that time.
When do you remember the shift? Like, what was the shift from it no longer being that way, and what was the cause of that?
When I came back, a lot of stuff died out. When
Was
my
that-
father, pardon
Go
me?
ahead, please.
No.
Was that because of folks leaving or folks passing, or what was the shift?
When my father died, when I was in Maryland, that's when the business closed down, because my mother couldn't run the business. My grandmother died a few years before that, so that business closed down. And like you said, people dying. A lot of businesses closed. Like Dr. Tony died, and Mr. Mike LaVar died. Yeah.
And what has taken the place of those businesses? And who?
Homes.
Homes.
Who owns those homes? From what you've seen, is it still the black community, or has it been now?
It's mixed now.
Now it's mixed.
Yeah.
Do you remember Herman's?
That's my father,
That's your father. Okay.
Herman Wake Sr.
Can you talk a little bit more about that?
The business?
The business, yeah, and just.
Well, I always remember them being entrepreneurs. They ran the business, the service station, the dance hall, which had dances on weekends, holidays, had different bands come from different locations. We sold food. When I was real young, we weren't allowed to go there. We didn't sell alcohol. People just came and let their hair down and enjoyed themselves, which was not, fun.
Of course.
And my father, he did all kinds of things. He worked for the civil service, was a taxi cab driver. He used to cut wood, which I used to help him do, and throw it on the truck and deliver. I was a tomboy during that time. That's what I considered myself. I was an outdoor person. And he was a barber, and my mother was mostly a housewife, and she did the cooking at the restaurant with help. And they were working people. They worked hard.
And did they try to pass down those businesses to you, or?
I've always said, because they worked hard and they worked us hard. And I always said I would never go into business because I saw what they dealt with. And so that's why none of us really went into business here, except my brother, the youngest one, moved to Philly, and he had his own restaurants there. But other than that, we didn't do what they did.
And why is it that no one wanted to stay in this county?
Nothing here. It's still the same.
Gotcha.
I left because I ventured out. My sister didn't venture out, and my oldest brother didn't. But he worked he worked at Langley for so many years and retired. So, and then he has his own business. We drive tractor and trailer and haul loads, different loads. So that's about it.
What was your experience at the dance halls and the juke joints? Do you have any special memories or special bands that came by that people were excited about?
Special bands,
Yeah, memorable bands.
the Jammin' Jammers, the co-ops, Ben Dale and the co-ops, the Donatones, and a lot of bands that they used to get from Maryland. I don't remember their names, because sometimes they used to pick them up in Maryland, pick them up and bring them back and take them back to Maryland.
And what kind of music were they playing?
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
When they would come, would they stay with families around here? Would the Black community cater to them, host them when they come in, or would they stay in hotels? Do you know any of that?
Most of the bands were local, that came from Matthews, Newport News, Hampton, different locations.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know it's from a second ago, but your sister staying here, what did she do?
She mostly worked at retail and grocery stores. But she got married and moved to Gloucester, and that's what she was mostly in, retail.
What do you remember about Mr. Butler Harris's outdoor movie?
That I do not remember.
No? Okay.
I don't know what year it was. I don't have no idea.
What about Harris's baseball field?
Can't recall that.
Not that one. Do you remember Miss Frances Jackson's ice cream parlor?
I used to go there. It was good.
It was good.
Glenn Davis I didn't go to. We weren't allowed.
Why was that?
Well, the parents didn't. I mean, my parents were right strict. And they didn't allow us to go to certain places.
What do you remember about Mr. Lynn Davis's restaurant and juke joint?
I never really been in the place. I don't even remember going in the place. I went in the service station, but not the juke joint.
And that's because your parents were?
I was young, very young.
Very young, okay.
Yeah. I left from here at 18.
Oh, okay. I see. And how often did you come back and visit, or did you not?
I did. When I moved to Maryland, I did. When I was in school, Norfolk, I used to get the Greyhound bus and come home.
Any other Cook's Corners establishments?
I heard there was something where the bank is, but I don't remember. But all I know it was black. You know, the Cox. I think the Cox owned all of that property, where 7-Eleven is, the bank.
What about the black churches here, or the black church here? How has that influenced your experience here and socially?
Since I moved home? Well, I was a member of Grafton Baptist Church. When I moved back home, I went there for a little while. Then I went to a non-denominational, but now I go to Cornerstone Fellowship Church, which is a non-denominational, and it's integrated. And like I said, it's all about people. It's not about color, you know. And I love going there. I've been going there for 16 years. I love my pastors, and I have grown a lot. I'm working towards what God wants me to do, and I'm blessed from being obedient.
My question would be, it seems like we keep mentioning, back in the past, it was black thriving community out here. Is there any marker? Is there any markers, historical markers? Is there any plaque that says this is the neighborhood, you know, with the black community that were entrepreneurs? Or is there anything to showcase that history behind? Because it seems we're doing all this recording, we're archiving all this information, but what has the city itself done within the community?
Well, they recognize it's a marker out there at Sinclair Walker, and I forgot. It's a shame that I don't remember the name. That's a marker there, a sign that is whatever they call it, whatever it's called. But as far as recognizing Sinclair Walker, I think that's what it was, a marker by Sinclair Walker in the front of their lawn.
What are your hopes? Is a marker sufficient enough to get that title only? Or do we need more? Does more need to happen to bring back that past, to empower the community again? What are your hopes for in the future?
From what I'm seeing, this committee is working towards that goal. Yes,
Right.
working towards that goal. And it makes me feel, because really, I was getting ready to say no to be interviewed because I don't like to be recorded or to talk about, or to talk. But I think it's a necessity
That's right.
for my grandchildren, great-grandchildren, great-great-grandchildren to look back and see, to know that they are somebody, and it's good for them to know their family history, to let them know that they too can strive higher than me or other family members, that they can do whatever they set their mind on, and that they are somebody. That's the goal. That's the key right there. That they are somebody.
Absolutely.
And but I love the trail that they have put there, and I walked the trail. It's beautiful because I love walking through the woods. I love nature, so I toured that trail, and it's nice. And I heard they're gonna do some more work on that trail. And the only thing that bothers me is how our trophies were destroyed. Our school trophies, Sinclair Walker trophies, awards that they had up in the case, and it was transferred to Middlesex High School. Then they took them out the case, and they were destroyed. All the trophies, they were destroyed. And I know why they were destroyed.
Can you share that with us? The why?
But I don't, I don't care. It was because of prejudiceness.
Okay.
That's why. That's my opinion, though. Because it shouldn't have been destroyed. All of them, way back there, people back there doing it in the 40s on up, and we have none of them, but some broken ones that were left.
How did the community feel when this happened? Was that an impactful thing for everyone in the community that went to?
Really never heard anything about it. Nothing can replace that. No matter what they do now, it can't replace history. But Dr. Satterfield, Dr. Bessada Whiten, Hallie Holmes, whoever's on that committee is doing the best they can to gather as much information for us to have a history, a heritage of this county. So, and I see, like I said, they're doing an awesome job, and I'll do whatever I can to be a part of it. And I appreciate you all doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Can you talk a little bit about your children, and have they stayed in this county, and your grandchildren?
For my children, I have a daughter and a son. He'll turn 50 Friday.
What's
and
his
my
name?
daughter, she'll be 50 Friday. His name is David.
Okay.
And Crystal is 44, I think. And she stays in Columbia. She works for social service. And she has 2 children. Javon, who is, I think, 21 or 22. Khalees, who is graduating in next month. She is 17. She's on her way she's trying to get into AT&T University in North Carolina, I think it is. But she has been accepted by 5 or 6 different universities. She has a 3.6 grade point average, and she was awarded a scholarship yesterday.
Nice.
And David has 2 sons. One is 29, and the other one is, I think, 10. And the 29-year-old one has 3 children, and they're my heart. because they're so young and innocent. And they, I think they give me a longer life by the joy that I get from them, you know. But I love my whole family, and I just keep them in prayer. David has his own company. Christopher works for his father. He has his own truck. My son been in the trucking business for years. Carry different loads to different locations. And I'm proud of my family. None of us are perfect, but I thank God for them.
To kind of go back to another conversation that we had, when it came to discrimination, did you have any personal experiences or experiences with KKK in the area?
Oh, no. Thank God. No. Like I said, it was just like I was in my own world. And I was happy in my own world. There's no problems. My father and mother had no problems. They never taught us to be biased. They taught us to get along with everyone, but it was just like a wall there for me. And as far as me seeing, I didn't even remember looking in their faces or anything like that to say hi or whatever, or whatever. I don't remember any of that. It was just my shield that was there, you know, but no problems. I know my brother encountered some problems, but I never encountered any.
What kind of problems do you want to share?
They had a theater in Urbana, and it was some prominent people that she in the county there that my brother and his friends used to go to the movies, and they used to call them, throw bottles and stuff at them as they crossed the Urbana Bridge, calling them all kinds of racial names and what they were going to do to them if they saw them, and they were scared. And back to doing that time, the only kind of phone you had was the payphone booth, you know. But that's how it was.
Can you tell me or share with us, this is going back to school, did they teach you Black history, and what type of Black history did they teach you during your elementary and high school days? Did you get like the real talk, or was it just like, the basic? The
basic.
Okay.
That's all, the basic that I remember.
So where did you become aware about, because being part of NAACP, you were in so many organizations, and like you mentioned, maybe going out and reading on your own. How did you get that knowledge about the real Black history?
Just through reading.
Reading? Okay.
Just through reading.
Okay,
yeah.
Fair enough.
What library did you go to, or where did you get?
In Maryland, I went to a lot of libraries, and here I go to the Banner and the Gloucester. Okay. I like reading history. I read all types of books, but now I'm mostly in, I'm not going to say religion, but Christian books. Okay. And plus, I'm now attached to a Dunamis Woman University, which is enhancement of hurting women, like healing hurting women, so we can really heal our men. Because our men have been beat down and been messed up, but we as women need to heal ourselves in order to be able to reach out to heal the man.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, thank you.
So that's what I'm into now.
So the individual we interviewed prior to you, Mrs. Sharp, she mentioned civil rights, and then she also mentioned abortion access. Do you have any experience with fighting for abortion access in the county?
What?
Abortion access in the county?
Everybody have their own bodies. They make the decisions. I'm not going to damn them out, whatever. That's their decision. If they want to do it, that's their decision. I don't like the laws that they're trying to pass. Mm-hmm. I know a young lady that just died because of that. Mm-hmm. Young girl.
This one is about the community and the changes from when you grew up, when you were raised in here as a kid, to now. Can you tell us a little bit about those changes outside of like the businesses? How has the environment itself changed? Are less trees around? Is it more open space, or is it more crowded with housing? How is it now versus when you grew up here?
The changes. Businesses. It's hard for a black person to get into business. They make it hard. It's hard. It's harder than what it was when my parents had their business. Housing the same way. They're gonna put you in a category that they want put you in, instead of you following what you want to do, what your blueprint is. I know they did that to my brother, and he fought it. It's just to me, I see a lot of unfairness as far as the taxes are concerned, constantly going up. But the people that come in, the rich people, in a sense, the law of economics, which I learned and I see it, rich get richer, poor get poor. And I see it. There's no such thing as middle class anymore. No. So, it's just, to me, worse than what it was when I was growing up. The economy is not good to me in the county. For those that got the money now, but not for us. Yeah.
The hourglass theory. It's like the hourglass theory, as they like to call it, the separation between the richer get richer, the poor get poorer, and the middle class is getting destroyed.
Right.
Very.
Law of economics.
Those running the county right now, are they majority white, or is there a lot of black folks also influencing any form of government, or no?
This is a white county, biased county. And they have few blacks, they go with the flow. Because if you're not going with the flow, you ain't gonna be there. So it's all, I don't wanna use the word, so I'll be quiet.
Do you recall any, when this was, and I think you used the number 85% or 95% black town, do you recall any prominent figures that were around town and that you could recognize?
Prominent figures back to when I was growing up?
Yes, ma'am.
I remember faintly Mr. Butler Harris, Dr. Tony. I'll even say my father and mother, Herman and Anna Wake. Glenn Davis. I don't remember a lot. Like I say, way back to my memory back during that time, I don't remember a lot of things.
You said that when you were young, there was a wall between the black and the white communities. Was there a physical location at all, where white people were and then black people?
You talking about a red line thing?
Yeah.
Deltaville was one.
Okay.
There was nothing but whites there once that I remember now. I mean, it was a very separate community. No, when I say wall, I'm talking about us communicating between the blacks and the whites. For me, anyway, all I saw was a wall. Now, the others might not see what I saw, but it just came in my spirit that that's how it was with me. I just saw a wall there that I didn't socialize. I didn't have no white friends. It was in a sense, don't cross that path.
Yes.
Yeah. So we were taught that. Not taught that, but we were in that environment.
That's the way it was.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we conclude, are there any other comments that you would like to share with us about the city, the town over here where we're at right now? Is there anything else that that you would like to share?
I like Middlesex County. It's safe to me. We live in a safe environment. It's not a lot of crimes going on around here. I think we are safe compared to a lot of counties. And I know we need to grow economically, but the more you grow, there's more problems, you know. But I will vote for things to come to the county. I wouldn't, you know, talk against it. But no, I love the county, and by me being older now, I don't go to a lot of places like I used to go. So yeah, I like the county.
Okay, final thought over here. Can you give a message to the next generation? What is a message if you could leave behind for the next generation of Black kids, children growing up in Middlesex County? What is the message that you would like to leave behind?
Like I always told my kids, education is the key. Learn as much as you can, because that will take you places by having an education. And respect one another, love one another. You know, a lot of children don't know how to really, they need to learn how to conduct themselves in a way where they can get respect. A lot of them are not taught that. We were taught to respect people. I'm not blaming race for everything, but I'm blaming how the children are taught at home. And the saying, baby raised baby, so how can a baby raise a baby if you are not taught how to have a home that has love, to grow, to be a decent individual. Manners very important. I teach my children and grandchildren manners. And when they get out of line, it sort of like bothers me. They don't, you know, they look at me, they know I don't like it. Mm-hmm. But it's just things that need to be changed when they pertain to the families. And then and when they go out, they'll know how the world, how they can handle, how they can grow into decent individuals, because when you go into the workforce, they look at how you carry yourself, the way you dress, the way you talk. Lift your head up and not down, you know. That you are somebody, not nobody, you know, somebody. So that's my carry out when it comes to that. I just want to see my community in unity, and which will bring more peace and joy, and not living in fear.
Anything else you'd wish to share with us?
No, I appreciate you all meeting with me, and some things I hope you delete.
Thank you so much.
Especially when I rambled off, but
No,
I appreciate you all.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your time.
Thank you. Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you as well.